Hey everyone, today I'm back with another video and I'm gonna talk about some of the fashion substyles that inspire me. In this Design With Me video, I am currently working on a commission for someone who ordered on my Etsy. It is for a Himegyaru themed lock screen. They wanted it to be Hello Kitty themed. And also a bit princessy, based on one of my other products that I have in my shop. And if you're interested, you can find me on Etsy or vgen for any of my custom orders, or to check any of the items that I have already in my shop. I sell digital products, so think wallpapers, Canva templates, and I also do a lot of VTuber branding on my vgen, so you can check me out there at Love from Lexi. So the first substyle I wanted to talk about today was Himegyaru. It is probably one of my favorite fashion substyles right now because of how pink it is and how princessy it is. The style has a lot of frills and lace, and it feels really girly. The color combinations are really bright, so a lot of pinks and whites I feel, and patterns like polka dots that I use a lot in my graphics that I design. I like how the colors are usually on the paler side and not super saturated like in a super hot pink or like bubbly pink way. And I like how just overall princessy things feel, so a lot of dresses and big bows and tiered skirts. It is definitely the substyle I wear the most in my everyday life, and I definitely think it translates into things that I design. In relation to other Gyaru subcultures, I think that Gyaru in general is just really cool, and I think brands like Daya that have like this 2000s feel to it are really inspiring. And it also kind of reminds me of American McBlank, a bit of like trashy kind of aesthetic too, that I also like and think is cool and refreshing. And speaking of McBlank and 2000s, I would also like to say that 2000/Y2K fashion is something that I am really inspired by also. I really like the use of denim in a lot of Y2K pieces, whether it's denim jackets or jeans, like flared jeans. I am not a super low-rise person because I'm not confident enough to wear them, but I do like those, the embroidery on certain pieces of jeans, and also just like jackets and the glitziness of certain clothes too. Like, I like Baby Fat, I like that brand, and I think they do a lot of they have a lot of creative logos that they put on their clothes. A lot of creative graphics in the 2000s were used, and I think that is what I find inspires me. And also, just as a kid, I thought this is what my adulthood would look like. So like, if I'm watching Disney Channel and I saw London Tipton or Sharpay Evans that were heavily inspired by that style, I'm thinking like, oh, like this is what I want to be when I grow up. And I feel like the 2000s is very much reminiscent of a peaceful time where things felt a lot more optimistic and people were innovative and creative and trying to make things they felt passionate about. And I feel like a lot of these brands were overall a lot more creative to obviously get money, but like it wasn't money grabby as things are now. Like they were focusing so much on art direction and how to stand out from other brands that there was a lot more effort put into design. And I think that this style influences my creative process as well. I feel like nowadays people are just like, for example, using AI to like create slop and try and get money as cheap as possible, whereas back then a lot more effort was put in to earn $1. The next substyle I want to talk about is Gothic Lolita / Pastel Goth. More so Pastel Goth, because I feel like that one is the one I focused a lot on in my childhood. When I was younger, I feel like I was on Tumblr and it was a really common substyle to see on Tumblr as you're scrolling. And like, for reference, this is like 2010s I'm talking about. So the whole like kawaii-esque culture was like starting to become more prevalent on the internet. And I think this mix of like edginess reminiscent of that time with something cute was attractive to a lot of people, especially when I was a kid, because like I just wanted to be that more serious kid, even though I'm like so girly now. But I think that's how all kids feel. I think also another thing I liked about the style is the hair colors too. Like a lot of like popular hairstyles for like highlights on the end, or like incorporations of purple, black, and pink into certain pieces. And I think those colors combined really helped emulate the overall aesthetic, which I also wanted to use to segue into scene. And also as a kid, since I wanted an edgy style, I love scene so bad. Like I loved the like neon colors, the super big like glasses people would wear that would kind of feel nerdy because I was a nerd, or like that heavy side part, the somewhat asymmetrical haircut. I feel like gave that certain edge that pastel goth kind of gave. I was also just interested in like gamer girl aesthetics, and if you were there at the time, like I feel like scene was kind of MySpace online girl, and it wasn't a style that most people were dressing up as like in real life. And there are a lot of styles like that today that you see just on the internet and not really in person, but I feel like scene was like one of the first, and I think that's what inspired me after being like a kid on the internet and in gaming spaces where others weren't. Also, and I don't know if people know who this is, but Ashley Marie Gaming. Since I was a Minecraft kid, I love watching her videos, and she was one of my favorite like girl gamers who were like playing Minecraft at the time, and I feel like she really kind of fits a similar feeling, more so with pastel goth I feel, but like yeah, she had that gradient side part when I'm talking about like that was also kind of in connection with scene. But overall, I feel like with all these substyles I mentioned, they're all kind of like niches, and I try and put these different kinds of niches into my design pieces. Although they are like fashion substyles, I always think, how can I relay these textures and these feelings into my design pieces? So since with my Himegyaru one, I commonly see polka dots, so I wanted the background to have polka dots in it. Or a lot of the times they like Hello Kitty, so I put Hello Kitty in it. I feel like a lot of my design products focus on niches, and I want to be able to emulate an aesthetic with them. Also, I have some critiques too, I feel like, with the substyles / aesthetics, and I feel like it's more so with the communities alongside them. Like just reflecting on decades ago when the internet was in its much earlier stages or a lot smaller, the culture was a lot different. Like these substyles and aesthetics were rooted in communities online, and it was more so like, how can I find people who might be interested in the same things as me? It wasn't as like abided to strict rules as a lot of substyles are now. So like I'll use Gyaru as an example, but I feel like Gyaru has gotten really big, and although it is rooted in a culture that is meant to more so go against the grain, I feel like some parts of the community tend to like have a set of rules they want to abide by and aren't as receptive to experimentation of the style as it manifests itself in the style. Like, if this is a experimental sub style, like, why do we need to have strict rules? Like, it's okay to experiment and develop upon a culture. And I think it tends to create a sort of estrangement within the community, which it doesn't make sense to me, because I feel like at the end of the day, we are all here to have fun and just dress up in our favorite substyles. So I think acknowledging the history of these substyles is good, but also being open to experimentation should be accepted as well. Another critique I have of aesthetic / substyles is people try to label substyles that don't need to be labeled. Like, for example, I often see on like Pinterest, someone might post a photo and people are asking like, what is this aesthetic? When it's just somebody's photo that they posted off their camera roll. And it's like, what happened to the days of us just like saving photos that we like online and just saying like, this is my aesthetic? Like, why does it have to have a certain name to search up and people try to emulate? Because sometimes like you just need your own personal style, and it's okay to have that and just showcase what you're inspired by. Cultivating your style is your own aesthetic, and I just don't see the need to label it. And I also feel like I incorporate that into my pieces as well. Like, there's no certain aesthetic for my winter wallpaper themes, for example. Like, they're just winter wallpaper themes and they don't fit under a certain label that you could just search up in Google. I also just wanted to briefly talk about where I find my inspo too. So, as I stated, I do search a lot on Pinterest, mainly for design stuff because it's PC friendly and I can search there in English. But one app I've been using is RedNote for other types of inspo, like for clothing, for lifestyle, or even food ideas. I mostly use it for clothes to try and get like stuff off Taobao, but it's just hard because I always have to use like a translator to search on there. And I feel like that is a way to get me interested in other substyles too, and to see what other people are sharing. Although I do end up coming across some design videos on there, I think they're very like inspiring and they get me to experiment with my designs too. In conclusion, I feel like these aesthetics and substyles really portrays itself in my pieces and in my work. And although a lot of them are fashion based, I feel like I do tend to oftentimes heavily rely on fashion and lifestyle to inform my graphic design pieces, because I feel like at the end of the day I make a lot of lifestyle products and I focus on branding, so I tend to do a lot of research on a style someone may want or a style I want to portray, and I feel like having these added context to these styles helps me make informed design decisions. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say for this video as I design. Just wanted to add some commentary on top of what I was designing. But if you like the video, feel free to leave a like. And if you're interested in any of my commissions or checking out my shop, you can find me at Love from Lexi on Etsy and vgen. But yeah, I'll see you guys later. Bye.